Preparing to live stream.
See, the kids.
Uh-oh, I got a little one over here too.
And we're live. What's up, everybody? I'd like to welcome y'all back to the Real Talk with Real Estate Investors show. I'm Trevor Young, along with my homie, Mr. Dan Caldwell. And man, do we have an awesome show in store for you guys today. Our guests today are wholesalers, investors, real estate flippers, and even MMA fighters that do a little bit of it all, and they can be seen live in action, turning disastrous homes into big profits on their hit TV show, Flip Wars, as seen on A&E. Please give a warm welcome to John Gettle and Lana Tufo. Welcome to the show, guys. How you doing today?
Hey. I'm just ecstatic that you said my name right.
Yeah.
Some people say like Lana Tofu. I can't
for
that.
Yeah, I took notes from our previous call, so I figured I was hoping I would get it right. You know, my sister's name is Alana, so I figured if I leave out the and then I remember what you said too, that John said what Lana is backwards. So
it's easy to remember. If you can't remember, it was like, what's your girlfriend's name? Lana, or anal backwards.
And that's how you won't forget it. So.
and I won't. I see. Looks like you got your little buddy there with you today, Dan.
I do. We just, we have another podcast, and we just finished our podcast, and he had a little part at the end. He had to jump on the mic and say his part.
Nice.
So we're just coming off of that. That's why I jumped right over to jump on this one.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I got to ask, John and Lana, how are things in Florida right now with everything that's going on?
Things are going great in Florida right now. The market is hot.
Yeah.
The weather, but the market too. Yeah. But it's been like 95 every day. But the market's hot. Yeah.
I heard it's been raining there for a couple of weeks or something like that too.
It did, but it hasn't in the past week or two, right?
Past week or so has been pretty nice. Yeah, we haven't been past 5 or 6 days. Yeah.
Okay. I thought y'all was getting blasted by those hurricanes. Maybe not.
Not really. Actually.
We got a little bit, but we're in that area. We got a pretty decent amount of rain last week. This week wasn't bad.
Now y'all are in Sarasota, which is right outside of Tampa. Is that right?
You're about an hour south of Tampa.
Nice.
We have 30 minutes from St. Pete, so we're in the Gulf Coast.
Sweet. You gotta love the beach. Y'all are near the beach. Dan's near the beach, and I'm over here floating around in Dallas in the middle of nowhere.
I'm staring at the beach, but it's all foggy today, so I can't even see the water. And I'm right across from the water. Usually we're just staring at dolphins and surfers, but I can't see nothing. All I see is white sky.
Is that from the fires up there?
What's that?
Is that from the fires out there? You're from Southern California.
No, yeah, and it's not the fires. I think it's just fog. I don't know why fog rolled in this late in the day, because it was beautiful about 3 hours ago, and now all of a sudden it's just foggy.
Is it getting
the beach is weird like that, right?
No doubt.
Is it getting cold there or no?
No, not really, not yet. It's still hot outside. It tapers off at night though, and you're getting a little bit. The weather's been weird the whole year. We haven't had a real summer out here in California. I don't know how Florida's been. How have you guys been?
2020, huh?
Texas.
It's just hot here all the time. We get burnt up here.
We're on 3 different time zones here. Trevor's in Texas, so he's in Central. I'm on the West Coast, and you guys are on the East Coast.
Dan, I'm from the future.
The magic of technology.
Y'all are really from the future.
We're
Central.
Let's go back. Let's go back and talk about how this all started. How did you guys get into this?
So when we got together, we started talking about getting our real estate licenses and.
Well, let's jump back.
Where should we
go further? Let's go way back.
Way back.
I moved to Miami when I was 17 to go to college, and I met John through a mutual friend. And so I've known him almost half my life. I think maybe more. I don't know. But long story short, when we linked back up years later, he was going to, he was fighting, and we were going to move back to Vegas so that he could fight. And then he had an injury, and it kind of made him take a step back and be like, well, I had those great years, I had those glory days, but how much of a beating is my body going to take, and is this really what I want to do? So
Right.
we ended up moving back to Florida together, and that's when he was like, you know what, let's do real estate.
Yeah, so
And
started doing real estate.
so there it was, huh? Now
There it was.
you guys both had a little bit of a background in real estate too. I know that John, your family had a construction business, and Lana, your family did some flipping as well, right?
Right. Well, my dad was he was in the automotive business. He owned car dealerships, but he was more of an entrepreneur. So he put his money in real estate, and my mother and my father did flipping back in Manhattan, back when it wasn't mainstream and it wasn't super popular. They would buy places in the city, which is a nightmare because Manhattan has full of permit. It's just crazy. It's so much easier here, but they would do it back then. So, I would watch them, and they actually had good taste, and I kind of, got my eye for design and for flipping through them.
Yeah, my family has a pool business. We've been doing pool construction for a long time, over 30 years. And I started doing remodels and brick pavers and all that when I was about 20 years old. So that's kind of how I got started in it. And I remember when I was in my 20s, I was remodeling these people's properties and watching them make all the money on the flip. And I'm like,
Right.
why don't I get into this? So
No doubt.
that kind of made me get into it.
Yeah, you know what? I really like that, coming from fighting, just because I was in the fight space too. I see that, fighters aren't making the same money that basketball players and football players and baseball players are making. But yet you have to dedicate yourself as much or more, because, you can't just train in stand up, right? You're not just doing mixed martial arts. You're not just doing wrestling. You're not just doing cardio. You have to train in all of it. So you're training totally across the board, jiu-jitsu, stand up, ground fighting, wrestling, everything. And so you're busy and you have to train full time, especially if you're fighting at the highest levels. But then, first time as soon as you get injured, you got nothing to go to.
Right. Yeah.
It's so true.
Fighting is if you get baseball, those guys get paid. Then if they get hurt, they still get paid. Hockey, same type of thing. They're still getting paid, and the amount of money those guys get paid is a lot more than fighters. Some of these guys are going in and fighting for a couple $1,000 a fight. I mean, who can live on that? How many times do you fight a year?
That's one thing he's always said to me, that he wants to, this is before we even had our son, that he wants to make sure that he explains the difference in contracts to him, because that's something a lot of guys go to sports and they don't know. Whether it's football, baseball, or fighting, I would always say to him, you love fighting so much, why don't you want to do it anymore? And he would say, because I could make, 6 or 7 not have to worry about, brain injuries or not being able to pick up, my kids and throw them in the air. And I understand that. But so when we came back, for some reason, he had the idea of real estate. And he always says it's kind of important to understand that with real estate, you could kind of not really have any, well, I'll let you get into that because that's kind of a little more relative to you. But
yeah, it just made more sense, when the cost versus benefit, hey, the lights go back on. So the cost versus benefit, with fighting just wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm busting my ass 24 hours a day, basically 365 days a year, the amount of money you're making is not worth, the amount of damage. So with real estate, it's something you can do with very little education. You don't even need a high school diploma. I know kids that are 19 years old that are wholesaling. I had this 19-year-old kid a couple years back came to me and started, hey, I want to learn wholesaling. So I kind of gave him some pointers. He got a couple properties. His first year, he made like $100,000.
Making more money he's ever made in his life, short life.
I remember actually he was 19 when I first met him. He was just right before he turned 18. I remember the first house that he wholesaled and assigned to me, his dad actually had to sign the contract.
Yeah,
He actually met out there and negotiated it, signed it, and then had to go back and have his dad sign the contract because he wasn't old enough.
That's awesome.
The
Isn't
kid's a
that fun?
superstar.
It's funny how that works too, because, you know, I got into wholesaling too originally years ago too, because at the time there was a 20-year-old kid that had 2 Lamborghinis, and I was like,
It's true.
okay, what are you doing? And one thing led into the next, led into the next, and I was like, it just goes to show you, you know, the opportunities there, no doubt.
Well, a lot of people, it's funny because a lot of people, they'll see ads online for, how to learn how to wholesale, learn how to make your own schedule and make money with no money, capital to begin with. And they think that it's fake. And it's funny because I actually saw on Instagram a couple weeks ago an advertisement for someone who was trying to sell their wholesaling program. I don't know what it was, but people were commenting on it and they were like, yeah, right, And there's another girl on there who was a wholesaler, and she was commenting. And I'm not one of those people that goes on and argues. I have better things to do with my day. Well, depending on who you ask.
She's lying. She's argues.
But I was like, no, it's true. You can do this, even though the guy's advertising isn't that great. So some kid commented back to me, so you mean to tell me that I can make, X amount of money without any license, without a college degree, and without any money, I could make, $5,000 just if I hustle hard enough. If you tell me that today, then I'll do whatever I have to. And I didn't write him back. And I was like, John was like, well, you should, because it's true. And he's living proof. You know what I mean?
It's really, yeah, it really is that simple. Like I always say this, it's very simple. It's not necessarily easy. That's the difference. You're gonna be hustling a lot,
No doubt.
If I tell you can make 6-7 figures a year, no diploma, not even a high school diploma, coming out of prison with a felony on your record, you can flip houses instead of flipping burgers with no money. Like you're like bullshit. But you really can. Like you really can do it. I've done it. I've bought and sold properties without putting any money out, and it's very easy. It sounds too good to be true when you explain it, but it's there.
So let
me just touch on that real quick, because that's super important for people that, have a felony on their record. It's hard to get a job because it's something you have to disclose in most companies. And so it's hard to get a job, but yet this is an opportunity that allows somebody like that to actually bring in money, and not just some money, a lot of money. There's zero of those opportunities other than other stuff that's illegal to put them right back, right back in that position. So that's really great. I know you brought that up to me when we were speaking too. Have you run into somebody that was in that situation?
It's kind of funny because me and her were talking about today. Someone, I'm not going to mention their name, but someone close to me that I know that served about 2 years. No real estate license. He does a lot more business than I do. Let's put it that way.
He's one of the best commercial multifamily wholesalers. I mean, drives a Benz and an Escalade without saying too much. And so that's the thing. Like, and not to get too personal, but John doesn't even have a high school diploma. John has a GED, because at the time his parents had their own business and he was young and hard-headed, like he still is. And he said, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to go to school anymore. So they said, fine, Nowadays it's different. You say to our son, yeah, you are, you're going to finish. But, and here he is, a fighter, and he didn't know what to do. He's basically starting over. And he could I've seen him lay in bed, wake up at 11 o'clock and make 50 grand from bed. What other profession?
That's awesome.
Do that?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, guys will, they'll go to jail for something stupid, a mistake they made when they were younger. And they think that their only option is to work at McDonald's, flip burgers, make minimum wage.
Or sell drugs, flip bricks, and do something like that.
Go back to prison.
They're either a high risk, high reward, or low risk,
but
low reward.
The thing about John is that even though he's only got a GED, I always say to him, he's got a master's in hustling, and that's what you need for
That's right.
As long as you have that, you'll go far. You will.
So how did y'all learn, or how did you get into wholesaling? Where did you learn how to do that?
So when we first started, we were actually, we had both got our licenses, and I wanted to start into foreclosure. So I started looking at foreclosure auctions. So we started dabbling, buying some foreclosures from the auction. And I started meeting people that were finding these deals. They were actually finding the foreclosures before they go to auction. I'd see these auctions that are coming up and they get canceled. So I'm like, why are these auctions getting canceled? What's going on? So I figured out these other people are going to the sellers directly before it goes to foreclosure auction, talking to them, communicating with them, getting a contract in place, paying for their attorney, canceling the auction, buying their house. So that's one of the things I started doing, is going to the sellers directly before the auction, getting them to sign a contract. I'll say, hey, listen, I'll give you 14 days to move your stuff out of here. You're going to walk away with $5,000 in cash. You got that much, you got a little bit of equity in your house. You got 5,000 in cash. You get that money. 14 days, you leave, I get the house. So, or you could just let it go to foreclosure, wait till the auction happens. The cops are gonna knock on your door. They're gonna give you a 24-hour notice. If you can't move that big table out in 24 hours, that table is no longer yours. You're gonna lose everything inside your house that's not out within 24 hours, and the police remove you. You lose it. So how about I park my trailer here? It's covered. You can fill it with your stuff. Take your sweet time, and you have $5,000, and you move out peacefully. Or you could go to foreclosure and have a cop kick you out in 24.
Right.
So it was an easy sale. It's not like I'm selling something. It's like I'm offering you money and I'm offering you a solution. I'm actually helping people out. So that's how I started doing wholesaling. And I found out more about the wholesaling process when I bought a property from somebody else that had it under contract, and he just assigned the contract to me. So he made 10 grand on the property, never touched it, and then I flipped it, and we ended up making about, I don't know, that property.
Which one?
Hagen, I think.
Well, here's the thing.
Made about 60,000 on that property.
Nice.
Around the time when we were doing real estate and we just got started in the whole, foreclosure thing, I had a friend that I knew from middle school and high school, and he actually worked in development for MTV and, a production company. And they already had a fully funded, which is very rare because, you guys might know, usually it's just a pilot that you film. This was a fully funded TV series, and they already had something similar that was successful, but they wanted to do it, they wanted to, get their feet wet with the house flipping, because that's really popular in America right now, all over the world, really. Our show has aired in Indonesia. I have people from Turkey, France, Asia, everywhere. And I can tell
even some
when
creepy Arab guys on there.
I can tell when it airs in a different country, because I'll just start to get a bunch of people from Turkey, and they're great. Don't get me wrong. They are so nice. Sometimes I don't understand them, but they're super nice, and it's really popular. So it was a fully funded series. We literally sat down and we did a Zoom interview like this, and we were filming 2 weeks later.
Wow, that's insane.
And
No
that
doubt.
was around the same time that Don got into wholesaling, and he was self-taught. Yeah, it's funny because when I was a kid, my dad would always say to me, Lana, if you want to do television or acting, no one's going to walk up to you and just put you on TV. You have to work for it. And you're wrong, Dad. They did. But, it's funny. It is a lot of hard work. And if you've ever filmed a show before, you know that it is so time consuming. So we didn't do a second season because John and I separated for a period of time. But I've been approached by 2 or 3 different networks asking us to do a family-oriented show, because now we have the baby and
Yeah,
angle.
you guys should. You guys should do
Absolutely.
that.
I don't know. Honestly, with as explicit as it is with us, it'd probably have to be on HBO.
But that's great. That's what makes for great television, right?
For
That's what
sure.
We talk about it, but it is very time consuming, and we have so many other things in the pipeline right now. Like we're currently co-writing a book, because he's kind of I'm the brains, he's the brawn, or depending how you look at it. But I'm doing all the writing and he's bringing all the information to the table. And we're going to try to have that book out by the end of the year to kind of, so that, if you have a son in prison and he thinks that when he gets out, his life is over, it's not. You can do this as long as you have the drive. We're going to tell you how.
That's great. People need to hear that message too. That's something that'll resonate with a lot of people. John, you said you talked to Bristol before, right?
Yeah, Bristol's actually a good friend of mine. We've actually punched each other in the face many times.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe it was Bristol that said he knew you. So that's great. It's like I always wonder how do these MMA guys you guys kind of ended up on the same path. Were you guys talking about that? I mean, you both have a television show, both ex-MMA guys, both have a TV show, and you guys are both flipping houses.
So what's funny is, we trained together. I was out in Vegas. I moved out there like end of 2008, and I trained with him for a few years. So when we got called about the TV show, he was the first call because he had just picked up the Flip or Flop Vegas. And I was like, so I ended up calling him. I was like, Bristol, I'm like, I'm doing the same thing you're doing out there, but I'm doing it in Florida. We got an opportunity for a TV show. What are the pros and cons? And it was pretty much all pros. He's like, definitely do it, man. He's like, there's no reason not to. So I kind of picked his brain a little bit, and that's when we took the show.
Yeah, y'all's show is awesome too. Me and my girlfriend sat around the other day and made a day of it, just going back and kind of watching all the episodes. And it looks like y'all have a lot of fun on there for sure.
Yeah, we definitely did.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, we have some great memories.
She's a lot of fun.
I don't know. That was like
What was that look?
She's a lot of fun. I don't know. No,
she makes it interesting because sometimes
they make me look worse than I am.
I think they make you look better, but that's
wow.
My girlfriend said she wants to hang out with you. She said you look like a lot of fun.
I want to hang out with her because if she can see through and see that I'm not a terrible person, like
you're a terrible person.
I would get a lot of tweets and Twitter messages from people like saying some terrible stuff, but I mean, it's television, I mean, you wouldn't sit there or you wouldn't have a reaction or be angry enough to find me online and DM me if I wasn't entertaining you. So, you know what I mean? In some aspect, it's like, I hope I did my job. But if we do end up doing another series, it'll probably be more family orientated because we're kind of just in a different place in our lives. Like we were kind of talking about before we went on the air. You guys know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I think that's why I was thinking about Bristol, because he kind of implemented that in his show because he had 2 little boys at the time. And so I could see that straight. And there's a market for that. There's a lot of people that want to see that. How does the whole family deal with all that going on, the raising kids and also, flipping this house, which is stressful too.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more stressful when you have remodels going on. And that's what we were doing. We were primarily doing that at first, and now we're a little throttled back on that. I focus more on wholesaling because I can do a lot more deals.
You should have seen us today.
For sure.
So I bought a house. Yeah, I bought a house closed on about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I was going to take.
Give them the numbers real quick.
It was a small project. I bought it for $56,000. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, pretty rough shape. Actually, I posted it on my Instagram, my story. So anyway, pretty rough shape.
That's great. So people can look at it.
Yeah, it's okay. So I went there.
We went there with the bait today.
And
we went there to meet contractors to see, to show them what they had to do.
I was the guys that were going to work on it. They get there to look at it, and I'm showing them, hey, this is what I want to do. The guy's like, yeah, my uncle lives like 5 houses over there. I'm like, okay. He's like, before the end of it, within 20 minutes, he's like, how much for the house? I'm like, no. I'm like, I want to do it. He's like, I'll give you 80 grand right now. I'm like,
oh shit.
And I'm like, no, man. I'm like, I really like I know I can.
I'll give you 85.
So now he texted me tonight, actually, right before we got on this screen call. He's like, I'll give you 87,000 for it.
87? I thought it was 85 last I heard.
87. It's gone up. I think I might wait till tomorrow to answer and see if it goes up anymore.
I know, right?
But it's
right.
like
90.
It's like I'm trying to do a couple projects to kind of keep my guys busy, and then he comes there and offers me. I'm like, man,
it was really.
How do I say no to that?
30
Right.
grand? Yeah. You can't.
And you didn't have to lift a hammer.
I don't have to do anything. I haven't touched it.
Right.
The guy that was going to work on it met us there, and he pulled me aside and he was like, let me ask you something, Lana. What's your opinion on this place from a professional viewpoint? And I was like, I mean, I think it's a shithole, but I think that John knows what he's doing and he's going to make money. I've never seen John really do something stupid and torpedo it. And then literally 10 minutes later, maybe 15 minutes, the guys who, the other guys, they wanted to buy it.
That's
and
awesome.
The guy looked at me and was like, but we brought our 2-year-old there, and John's like, get him out of the car, let him run around. He was running around the yard, and I'm like, it's just, he's been to a lot of these shithole houses, excuse my language.
Yeah.
And, it's like a family affair now, so it's like what we did before, but we've got a 2-year-old, a little mini terrorist John running around. So it's fun. It's just different.
He's a mini Lana, pretty much.
I always say to him, he'll be like, John, he's doing this, he's doing that. And I'll just stop and be like, John, you know the way you are and you know the way I am. You knew if we had a child together, he would be both of our crazy combined.
Yeah.
So why are you like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, what do you want me to say? But no, he's an awesome kid. It's like I've never experienced. So
that's for sure. What do you guys prefer? I mean, if you have you like flipping the home, maybe you make a little bit more on that. But there's obviously a lot more work involved.
I know.
When you look at wholesaling, the idea that, the work is a lot of that's up front because you're trying to find the home. What do you guys, if you had a choice and you had to go one direction or the other, what would that be?
There's pros and cons to both. You make a lot more money when you go long with it. When you go all the way and finish it up, you're going to make a lot more money. But bird in the hand versus 2 birds in the bush.
Yeah,
I'll take a bird in the hand all day.
And more risk too, right?
And there's no risk. Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like this house I actually closed on, which I could have wholesaled and taken a smaller profit on the front. But I mean, it just makes a whole lot more sense for me when I can sell you a piece of paper for $20,000-$30,000 or more. Why would I not sell you that paper?
yeah.
You tried with this.
I
tried. He wanted to flip it, and someone came like, please, take 40 grand.
It's funny because I haven't been doing a lot of projects lately. I really haven't. Like the only other project I have going on is there's a house for my parents, and it's just they're going to be living there. So I'm like, I need to keep some projects rolling, get the guys back, because I've been doing so many wholesale deals that it takes up my time finding deals. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm better off spending time looking for more deals and doing more sales and letting other people make money on the flips than I am actually spending time and organizing a crew and managing everything.
Sure. Where do you guys typically find your deals from? Do you have a certain method?
That's
you're gonna have to buy the program to learn
that.
Well, I got a program too.
Honestly, there's a lot of ways. At this point, like I haven't been doing as much marketing as I was. I mean, there's a lot of ways to market yourself.
So many different ways, though, to find properties.
I have so many people out there because I've been doing it long enough. I have so many people bringing me deals on a daily basis that I miss deals because I don't have time to check them all. Like I literally need to get somebody to check my emails or make her check my emails because I miss some good deals. A couple times I'll like see a deal like 3 days later and be like, oh, that's a really good deal, and I'll call and it's already sold.
Oh yeah.
But working on it. But honestly, like for new people out there, a lot of times I'll say word of mouth. Like someone that has grandparents that live in, especially Florida. Where do you go? Where do you go when you retire? You get old, you move to Florida. So everybody knows, one of the grandparents, they passed away, and now the other one's going to move into assisted living, or they're going to move with their kids. So now they're going to sell the house. So like that's an opportunity that someone wants to just sell it as is. They probably don't have a whole lot of money. They can't remodel the house. They're not going to put a new roof on it. They're not going to put a new kitchen. They're just going to sell it as is and try to sell it quickly. And, you can find the deal, So a lot of it is word of mouth.
Yeah, so many different ways,
awesome.
but also I will say this without giving too much away. The internet and social media nowadays is such a huge thing that didn't exist in the past, and it's like you have this free platform and channel that you can use, so go ahead and use it.
So
There's
true.
so much opportunity at your fingertips.
Even
for
Craigslist,
free.
you can get on there and you can
Facebook,
find
Marketplace,
deals on there. But as a wholesaler, obviously I like to be the first one on the contract. I like to find the deal first. That's the best position to have, to actually have the original contract. So, I mean, something as simple as door knocking. I've seen people make hundreds of thousands of dollars knocking on doors. Going to one of the things I have some people do is going to like estate sales or garage sales and just talking to people. They're selling everything in the yard. It's like, well, do you guys want to sell the house?
Yeah, right.
Like seriously, I've made $2,000 on a specific deal I know recently, and this person I said, hey, go to these sales, go to a couple sales. And he went to a couple sales and met a couple people. And, you know, she got told no 10 times, but the 11th time she asked, the guy said, yeah, you know, we actually are thinking about selling this house. Oh, what if we can make you an offer? You don't have to pay no commission. We'll give you cash. We'll give you cash in 10 days. And we ended up closing on it, and then we ended up reselling it.
And I think you bring up a very important point right there too, is that just because somebody says no on one day doesn't mean that they're not going to say yes the following week, right? You know, I tell folks all the time, me and my buddies talk about the FU money's in the follow-up, right?
Oh,
you know
the follow-up for sure.
Yeah, that's. I have a friend that has a saying. He says, "You want to be the firstborn, second married, and the third realtor." He said the first time that people try to sell it.
Yep.
That's new material. I've been with you how long?
You haven't heard that?
Almost 7 years. I've never heard that.
So,
you guys just got an exclusive.
Nice.
Material. I like that.
So
I've never heard that.
Yeah,
and I
been
am
brewing.
by the way. I am the second marriage,
So in the retail market, you know, a lot of times the first person you have on the property, the guy wants more money for the house. The sellers always want more money right away, and then second time around, they'll take a little less. Third time around, they're just like, man, get rid of this place.
Yeah.
Just take it.
Yeah, if there is a third time around, right? They're just done at that point.
We're over it.
Yeah, you know what? Another thing I like that you said earlier was finding deals is just putting yourself out there. You know, the more people that know that you're looking for deals, the more people are going to bring you deals when they come across them. And
Right.
I think it's so important to just put yourself out there and let people know what you're doing and spread the word, especially on social media. So all your friends know and everybody who follows you on social media, when they know, you're just going to have people bring you deals. I know that happens to us all the time. I have a real estate office and me and my brother flip homes. And I think half of our deals come from people bringing them to us just out of the blue.
And that awesome too. And you can do all of that for free. You know what I mean? Technology has really opened up the doors for us to all the social media, YouTube that we're on right now, these different groups. I mean, Google, I had a buddy of mine that virtually drives for dollars. No shit. Literally pops on Google
I've heard that.
and drives for dollars on Google and closes deals that way. I mean, you can't make it any easier than that. You know, the options are here for us and they're endless. If you're not doing deals, you know, you're just not taking action, right?
There's a lot of virtual wholesalers out there, you know, like you said, driving for dollars is great, you know, where you're sending letters or knocking on the doors or you can literally sit on your computer, like you're saying, and drive down the street, look both directions, and you see a house that looks in distress, then mark the address and get their information and call. I feel like getting in someone's face, I've had more success. Like even if I have some inexperienced person that goes out and knocks on the door and just breaks the ice, and I come out there day number 2 or day number 3, and then I'll close it. But having someone like face-to-face contact, which is not as common anymore, but I feel like it's a better success rate because they see you and they meet you and they kind of.
I agree.
They build up a little trust. You know, when you're just cold calling, which cold calling is great. And
you build a rapport.
I have a lot of deals that come from cold calling, but being out there face to face definitely builds a rapport right away and kind of gets the name with the face. Because if you just have a random person, hey, I want to buy your house, and you're like, some people feel like it's a scam. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's a very simple process. It's not all that easy.
I will say this though, all of this knowledge that he's obtained has been over years. Really, he's really been wholesaling exclusively and flipping for 3 years now. But this is, you know, years of trial and error and also experience. It's something that you definitely can get mentored and coached on, but you really kind of have to go out there and get your feet wet to, really get good at it. But it's something that anyone can learn how to do. Like we said, as long as you have the hustle and the drive.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I don't think there's any replacement for going out there and doing it yourself. That's, I mean, everybody, you can read all the books you want, take all the courses you want, until you go out there and you end up in that conversation with somebody, talking to them, talking price and negotiating. You feel it out, and you start to remember your training, like things that you've learned throughout, while you were reading through or watching other people do it. But until you're going through that situation, you just don't know what it's like.
That's right. Baptism by fire, right? That's what I
Right.
like.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
a
don't-
lot of it's just getting out there and doing it, like, I mean, people that are like brand new, they're like, how do I start? I'm like, it's so simple. Like, if you don't, especially if you don't have any money, like when you're in your neighborhood, I'm sure you drive past a house every day that you're like, man, that house needs a lot of work.
Dilapidated house.
Yeah.
You can literally knock on the door and say, hey, can we make an offer on this house? And you do need somebody that, like myself or like you, Dan, or like you, Trevor, that has some experience. You need somebody behind you to kind of like coach you a little bit with this.
Yeah.
But they could go out there and break the ice. And as simple as someone out there breaking the ice, they can make a $5,000, $10,000 assignment fee on a property like that.
Well, John always says the first two most important things are the whys and the needs. Why do you want to do it? What are the advantages? And he says he loves to be able to wake up when he wants, leave town when he wants. He likes to be able to close deals while he's out on his boat. It's the financial and, financial freedom, and to be able to have the time to do what you want to live life on your own agenda. And, there's also what you need, but you do need to have the drive. You need to have the hustle. You need to be able to network locally and put yourself out there if you really are willing to learn how to do it and meet the right people to kind of help you get far in here. As long as you have your whys and you have the needs, then anyone can do it. And then you move on to, the basics of how you learn how to make money with other people's money, such as investors, hard money, things like that, and how you find properties. And also the most important thing, he says, there's gray areas when it comes to wholesaling. It's not all black or white. You do need to know what the legalities are and how to protect yourself, how to do things, within the parameters of the law. But as long as you learn these things and educate yourself, like you can, like he said, you could make 6 or 7, figures a year without a formal education. So that's kind of what he did it. He's living proof. I watched him do it.
Yeah.
And, I watched him go from fighting to literally, and don't take this offensively, but I'm just going to say it. Your parents owned pool companies. When you stopped fighting, you were going to go help them clean pools.
I was helping them.
And 6 years later,
remodels and doing a lot of labor work, and it was
six years
tough
later,
work.
we're driving up to a house he bought a week ago, and the guy's begging him to give him $50,000 off of,
That's it. 86 grand or 87 grand, and I bought it for 56,000. So
we'll see what he comes up to tomorrow.
yeah,
Yeah.
making almost 28,000.
But I'm not talking about necessarily that, but in general, he can make $50,000 and on a single deal. If you can't really do that without a formal education or a doctorate or anything else.
And doing it with there's a way you can do it with no money too, which is it's kind of incredible. Like the most money I've ever made on an assignment fee was $75,000,
Nice.
and literally selling a piece of paper for 75 grand. I took.
Can't beat that, right?
I mean, how do you do that? Like, you take the contract, and I had 5 days to put my escrow deposit down. I sold it within 3 hours of me getting the contract signed. So in this assignment, I actually had the buyer put escrow down in place of mine, and his contract, we wrote it in there that his escrow covered my escrow. So I actually had $0. I had no money out at all. Literally no money, had no money out on this deal, made 75 grand.
Man, that is so awesome. And I know that there's some folks that are listening right now that are thinking, man, how do I do that too? And I know that there's some folks that are listening that have been thinking about jumping in for a long time. You know, it's like Dan said, you know, they've gotten educated, they've read their books and they probably know enough to get started, but just have that little bit of fear, that wall of fear that's right there that's keeping them from taking that next step. What recommendation might you give to somebody to just jump in and take action?
I mean, you have to take action. You can't.
I know what you really want to say,
What?
but you're censoring yourself.
What?
Get the fuck over it and do
Yeah.
it.
Pretty much.
You're pretty blunt. Speak as blunt as you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing holding you back. Like she said, get the fuck over it. Go.
Do it.
Just go. Just do it. There's nothing holding you back except yourself. You have to get out there, get in people's faces. You know, if you have the money, you can market. You could send letters to people. You could find these houses. You could drive for dollars. If you have the internet, you could virtually drive for dollars. But you really just have to take the initiative. Get out there. You know, you
We did it.
find deals. You know, this one property we saw, it was the one property where I had no money out that I use as an example. We saw this property, it was like vacant, and it took a while. We actually took about 2 weeks to find the owner, and the owner was in a nursing home, and we actually talked to the daughter. Like, we actually had to get a hold of the daughter. So it wasn't like we found the owner, but the owner wasn't answering any calls, and there was no way to do it. So we actually had to search family members, and it's as simple as, I mean, we went on Facebook and looked up the family members' names. We found the family members' names, and we sent her a message on Facebook.
That's what I do too.
And it's sometimes it's so simple. Like, you have all these free tools that you can use to find, you know, whether it's the tax appraisers, the property appraiser's office. There's so many free tools you can use that are all at your fingertips.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's different nowadays. There's so many, you know, there's so much information and it's just, you know, it's available for free, so you might as well utilize it.
Yeah, I would just say get out there and
Hit the ground
the
running.
biggest thing is you definitely need a good contract. You don't want to go out. Some of these guys use a single page contract, and even some wholesalers that I know that are pretty successful, but the contract will actually have like nothing in it if the seller goes to the closing table and says, I don't want to sell you this house. There's no recourse in that contract. So make sure you have a contract that actually binds them to selling the house, because if you don't, you have a simple one-page contract that doesn't have anything about the seller going, I don't want to sell it. Day of closing, they see that $40,000 assignment fee and go, fuck you, I'm not selling this. Like, I've literally seen wholesalers have this contract and people that I still currently do business with, and I've seen them still use it, even after telling them, don't do that. You're going to run into this problem one day. And I guarantee they will. But you make sure you have the right contracts, the right guidance. I mean, if anyone has questions, you can message me. I'm pretty responsive.
Some people may not understand.
She's on her Facebook all day. Message her. She'll get you in touch with me.
Some people may not understand this, you know what I mean? But there are people out there who do it, and you can ask them. John is one of them. He's easy to find. He's at Johnny Gettle Free on Facebook, and you could find them. And there's people who do it, and you could reach out to them and ask them. You know what I mean?
But I would say the biggest thing is don't be scared. Get a contract signed. You know, I'd rather go out and get a contract signed and lock up the property than if you're close and you think that, oh, maybe it's not, just get it signed. You can always go back and ask for a reduction. Even if,
Right.
you know, I don't like to do a reduction. I'd rather get it locked up on the first time that way. But if you have to, you definitely want to lock up that property, because if someone else is going to come out there and it's going to be like that third realtor example, the third guy's going to come out there and the guy's just going to get sick of these low offers and he's going to sign on the same low offer he told you to fuck off to. He's going to sign with the third guy that comes out there.
That's
So
right.
sometimes you really need to get that paper signed first time around.
That's right. And I like what you say too, the point of partnering up with somebody, at least on the first deal or two. You know what I mean? It's so easy to find somebody that knows what they're doing. There's all these Facebook groups, all these different meetups, all these different, you know, organizations and whatever else. Find somebody to team up with and say, hey, listen, can can I just come along with you for a deal or two or whatever? They'd probably be more than happy to help or more than happy to partner on any deal with you or anything like that. Just do it, you know? And then after you do a couple, it's going to be easy, right?
And something I was going to say is the great thing about this is that you can still have your regular 9 to 5 initially if you want, and do this on the side. You could do this on the weekends. You can do this 5 to 9 at night. You know, I mean, he always says the best time to call people to see if they want to sell their house is what time?
Probably about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Yep.
There you go. Go to your 9 to 5, and then on the way home, call people. All I'm saying is if you want it that bad, you can do it.
Yeah, between 4 and 8
Yeah,
is usually, if I'm in a cold call, it's between 4 and 8 o'clock.
There you go.
There's a little piece of information. We've noticed that most
I like that too. Get them while they're off of work or even lunchtime
Yeah,
too.
or when
Lunchtime's
they're
okay.
winding down from the day.
Yeah, lunchtime's okay, but sometimes they have the excuse, oh, I gotta go back to work, or, you know, there's always an excuse. Between 4 and 8, they're usually just getting off work. They haven't gotten home and started making dinner yet, but that between 4 and 8 seems to be the hot number. 4 and
I like
7
it.
specifically.
I dig it. Well, guys, hey, listen, you know, we don't want to hold y'all up, you know, for too long. We sure appreciate y'all coming by today and sharing some words of wisdom to our audience. I know that they've gotten a lot of value from you guys today, and so we surely appreciate it. You know, how can guys? I know that you were saying just a minute ago. I think you were saying your email address, or you were cutting out just a little bit. But how can folks go out and find out more? About you?
So my Instagram's at Johnny Gettle or John Gettle 3 on Facebook. I'm pretty easily searchable, or you can type in Flip Wars. You can find us there.
I'm at Lana_Tufo, TUFO on Instagram, or you could find me on Facebook. Or you could email us at the Gettle, is it the, or just GettleTeam@gmail?
GettleTeam@gmail. But
Yeah. And what about your book coming out?
if you're looking to sell a house, and my website is ask4offer.com.
That's his company name,
Ask for Offer.
number 4. So the book, hopefully we're going to have that finished by the end of the year. I'm a fast writer, even though I
Probably
do real
faster.
estate, do a lot of different things, but writing has always been a forte of mine, and I love it, and I'm passionate about it, I'm good at it. So we kind of, you know, got together, and I'm writing for him, and I'm picking his brain, and there's a lot to it though, you know, we still have to edit it. So hopefully by the end of the year, we're going to have that book out, and it'll kind of be like a self-help guide for anyone that wants to be able to make their own schedule and work on their own time, make a fortune in real estate, because anyone could do it. The Forbes 400 list, 34 of the people on that list are people who have made their money in real estate. And I can't remember what the percentage of that is, but my point being that even though a lot of these people inherited that money, you can make a fortune in real estate, or not even a fortune, just your own comfortable life doing it. Anyone could do it. And we're here to show you that. I mean, John went from fighting to real estate, and you know, he's got a comfortable life. So
Real estate is definitely where it's at. Fortunes are made in real estate. I mean, look at the president.
Made more millionaires than any other industry, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, guys, we sure appreciate y'all coming by.
Yeah.
For
Thank
the
you for
folks-
coming on, guys.
Definitely. Y'all make sure to check out John and Lana.
Yeah,
And-
I got a deal for you on LA County. I'm going to text you about it.
Oh yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed your call earlier, but yeah, I want to know all about it because maybe we're gonna JV on a partnership together, get a deal
Hopefully
done.
so.
There you go.
Hopefully so.
Good stuff.
All right.
all right, guys, we'll catch up soon.
Okay,
again.
thanks, guys.
Take care. Have a good
All
one.
right, bye.